Welcome back to World of Gem, the journey where every stone hides a story the Earth tried to forget. Somewhere in the sands of Egypt, beneath frozen European vaults, and deep beneath forgotten temples of Asia, lie gemstones so rare, so powerful, that the world itself wasn't ready to keep them. One disappeared after an emperor's death, another glows only under a full moon, and the gem ranked number 1, the legendary Stone of Heaven, is said to be worth over $200 million, yet no one alive has ever seen it whole. These aren't just lost jewels, they are echoes of power, beauty, and fear. Some were hidden to protect kingdoms, others were destroyed to silence their legend, and one might still be waiting to be found. So don't scroll away, because if you miss this video, you might misunderstand the true value of gemstones forever. If you're new here, welcome to this special journey into the things the world never told you about gems. If you love history, mystery, and the beauty of the unknown, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week we uncover another forgotten chapter written in stone. And if you feel this is the beginning of something new, a path into the deeper meaning of gemstones, leave a comment saying, "I like this video, so I'll know you're walking beside me on this journey." Stay until the very end, because the top gemstone in this list might not just be a legend, it could be something closer to you than you think. And if you're busy, save this video, because it carries a story of light, loss, and destiny. A journey you won't want to miss. Now, let's begin the search for the 10 lost gemstones the world wasn't ready for. Rank number 10, the Florentine diamond, the sun that disappeared. Beneath the golden halls of Renaissance Florence, a diamond once burned with the color of sunlight, the Florentine diamond, lemon yellow, cushion cut, and 137 carats of pure brilliance. A gem so mesmerizing that kings feared it, and history forgot it. Mined from the ancient Golconda region of India, where riverbeds hid treasures beneath centuries of monsoon clay, this stone wasn't found by machines, but by human hands. Thousands of miners washing gravel until one spark of yellow pierced the mud. When merchants from Venice first laid eyes on it, they wrote of a flame that glows without heat, a captive sun. From India, the diamond journeyed west, traded through Persia, then into Italy, where it was claimed by the Medici family, the rulers of Florence. They saw more than beauty. To them, it was a divine symbol, a stone that captured both power and fragility. The Medici master cutters shaped it into a 9-sided double rose, a design rare even by today's standards, crafted not to dazzle the crowd, but to hold the light deep within, as if it were breathing. For centuries it shimmered across Europe, a silent witness to empires rising and falling. But the diamond story darkened when it passed to the Habsburg dynasty of Austria. Wars erupted, crowns crumbled, and when World War I tore Europe apart, the Florentine diamond vanished, last seen in Vienna, wrapped in royal silk. After that, nothing. No sale records, no recovery, no confirmed sighting for more than 100 years. Some historians believe it was smuggled to Istanbul, cut into smaller gems to erase its identity. Others insist it was hidden by a surviving Habsburg who feared its curse, that every ruler who wore it would lose his throne. And yet, whispers remain. A private collector in Rome once claimed to own a 20-carat yellow gem that glows like honey in moonlight. If that's truly a fragment of the Florentine, its modern value could exceed $30 million. Not for the carats alone, but for the centuries of vanished power it represents. Gemologists say no diamond today matches its nitrogen balance, meaning Its color was unique in all recorded history. So the question lingers, was the Florentine diamond destroyed, or is it still hidden, waiting for someone bold enough to recognize it? If this story surprised you, tell me in the comments. Would you dare to wear a gem that once ended an empire? And here's something to think about. Which gemstone do you believe could surpass diamonds in 2026? Rank number 9. The Naderi Spinel, the blood of kings. They called it the blood of kings, a crimson gem so vivid it seemed alive. The Naderi Spinel, weighing more than 500 carats, was not cut by modern hands, nor measured by modern tools. It was forged by time itself, deep in the ancient mines of Badakhshan, a region between today's Afghanistan and Tajikistan, where the mountains bleed red under sunlight. The miners of the 17th century believed these stones carried the essence of war, that whoever wore them would rule or die trying. When Nader Shah, the ruthless conqueror of Persia, invaded India in 1739, his soldiers carried back more than gold. From the Mughal treasury in Delhi, he seized a collection of gemstones, but one stood above all others. A vast red spinel, engraved in Persian script, with the names of kings who had owned it before him. To Nader, it wasn't a jewel. It was a trophy of destiny, a seal of divine right. He had it mounted atop his royal turban, and from that day forward, wherever he rode, the gem flashed like a burning heart against the desert sky. But power, like the spinel's glow, does not last forever. When Nader Shah was assassinated by his own guards, his empire fractured overnight. In the chaos, the gem vanished. Witnesses said his body was stripped by looters and the crown torn apart in the dark. Some say the Naderi Spinel was broken into fragments to erase its legacy. Others whisper that a loyal general smuggled it across the Caspian, hiding it within a golden idol bound for Samarkand. Centuries later, a stone resembling the Naderi resurfaced in Tehran, a massive red spinel with faint inscriptions nearly worn away. Experts believe it could be the same gem, yet no one can confirm it. Its luster remains eerily strong, as if the gem itself refuses to die. Under spectral analysis, it emits a deep scarlet fluorescence, something no other spinel on record has ever shown. If this is indeed the Naderi Spinel, its value today could surpass $50 million, not only for its weight, but for the bloodlines etched upon it. A gem that carried empires, betrayals, and divine terror. So, what do you think? Would you display such a stone, knowing it once crowned the head of a ruler, murdered by his own men? If this story caught you off guard, leave a thought below, and tell me, which lost gemstone do you believe deserves to be found again? Rank number 8. The Black Orlov, the Eye of Brahma. They say some stones were never meant to leave the temples they guarded, and among them, none is more feared or misunderstood than the Black Orlov, also known as the Eye of Brahma. This gemstone began its story in the sacred city of Pondicherry, India, centuries ago. Local chronicles describe a black diamond, polished to a mirror sheen, resting on the chest of a statue of the god Brahma, symbol of creation, balance, and infinite cycles. For generations, it was untouched. Priests believed it embodied the eye through which the universe watched humanity. But one night, during the colonial era, the temple was plundered. And with it, the diamond disappeared. The legend says the thief who stole it vanished within weeks. By the early 1900s, the gem surfaced in Russia, mounted as a pendant surrounded by 108 white diamonds, a number sacred in both Hinduism and Buddhism. It was owned by a mysterious noblewoman, later identified as Princess Nadia Vigin Orlov, the name that gave the stone its Western title. the Black Orlov. But history took a darker turn. Within years, 3 of its owners, including the princess herself, died by suicide, each from a high window overlooking the streets below. Was it coincidence, or was the Eye of Brahma reclaiming its sight? Fearing its curse, a New York jeweler in 1947 cut the gem into 3 parts, hoping to neutralize whatever energy it carried. 1 became a ring, 1 a brooch, and 1 remained in private hands. 2 have since vanished. The surviving piece, now 67.5 carats, is displayed behind armored glass. The light that touches it seems swallowed whole, leaving only a deep, ink-black glow that feels alive. Geologically, it's a marvel, a carbonado diamond, formed not deep underground, but possibly in outer space. Some scientists theorize it was born in a meteorite impact 2 billion years ago, explaining its unnatural density and almost cosmic hue. Its current value is estimated at $15 million, but to many collectors, it's priceless because no other stone carries the myth of being both divine and damned. So here's the question. If you held in your hand a fragment of something sacred but cursed, would you return it or keep it to test fate? If this story made you rethink what beauty truly means, leave a comment and tell me, do you believe a gemstone can carry the memory of its worshippers? Rank number 7. The Great Sapphire of Samarkand, the night sky trapped in stone. They say there once existed a sapphire so vast, so luminous, that it could light an entire courtyard at midnight. Hidden within the chronicles of Central Asia, it was known as the Great Sapphire of Samarkand, a stone said to contain the reflection of the heavens themselves. The story begins in the 14th century, when Samarkand, today in Uzbekistan, stood as the beating heart of the Silk Road. Traders from China, Persia, and Byzantium met beneath its turquoise domes, exchanging silks, spices, and secrets. And among those treasures, one sapphire towered above them all, a flawless blue crystal the size of a man's fist, discovered near the Pamir Mountains, a place ancient geographers called the roof of the world. Local miners described the stone as a sky that had turned solid. Its hue wasn't the light blue of jewelry store sapphires, but a deep, celestial indigo, shifting between purple and black depending on the time of day. Some said it pulsed faintly at night, like the breath of a sleeping god. The gem was cut into an oval cabochon and enshrined within the palace of Tamerlane, the Mongol conqueror who ruled from Samarkand. For years, it adorned his royal throne, a symbol of divine favor and cosmic power. But when Tamerlane died, the city fell into chaos. During a raid, the sapphire was stolen, and according to Persian sources, the thief tried to flee across the Amu Darya River. He never reached the other side. The sapphire slipped from his hands, sinking into the current, its glow seen for one last moment before vanishing beneath the dark water. Centuries passed. The river changed course. Archaeologists who've traced its old bedlines say large sapphire fragments occasionally appear in local markets, opaque, heavily weathered, and sold as river stones. None have matched the size or purity described in the chronicles. But what's strange is this. Divers near the ancient riverbank report seeing faint blue light under the silt on moonless nights. If it were ever found today, the Great Sapphire of Samarkand would be worth more than $40 million, not for clarity or carats, but for legend. Because this wasn't just a gemstone, it was a piece of the night sky, lost to time. So I'll ask you, if a stone like this still lies beneath the river's sand, glowing faintly after 600 years, would you dive for it? If this story stirred something ancient in you, tell me in the comments. Which lost gem would you risk everything to recover? Rank number 6. The Crimson Star of Ceylon, the heartbeat of the gods. They say in the highlands of ancient Ceylon, modern-day Sri Lanka, there once pulsed a stone that beat like a living heart. It was called the Crimson Star of Ceylon, a massive ruby star that shimmered not just with light, but with life. Centuries ago, long before the age of machines, ruby hunters in the Ratnapura district mined by torchlight, digging through clay veins rich with corundum crystals. The locals called it the land of precious blood, because every stone drawn from that soil glowed red, like the essence of the earth itself. Among those miners, one night, a strange glow rose from the mud, a stone larger than a man's palm, pulsing with a 6-rayed star that seemed to move as if it breathed. Buddhist monks soon declared it sacred, the eye of Vishnu reborn on earth. They placed it in a temple high above Kandy, where it became a relic of protection. Pilgrims traveled from kingdoms across Asia to glimpse it once a year during the full moon festival. Witnesses wrote that when the moonlight hit its surface, the ruby star expanded, filling the entire room with crimson light, as if a god had opened his eye. But in 1915, as political uprising swept through British Ceylon, the temple was raided. The monks, desperate to save their relic, hid the ruby inside a bronze statue of the Buddha. But by dawn, both the statue and the gem were gone. Some say it was taken to London. Others claim it sank into the Mahaweli River as the rebels fled. The temple has since been rebuilt, but the stone has never resurfaced. Gemologists who studied temple sketches describe it as a perfect 6-star cabochon ruby, 320 carats, pigeon blood red, with rutile silk so dense it glowed even in shadow. If rediscovered, it could be worth more than $60 million, not only for its size, but for what it symbolized, the link between divine light and mortal faith. To this day, travelers in Sri Lanka still whisper about a glowing red stone that appears beneath the riverbed after storms, then fades as quickly as it came. So the question remains, was the Crimson Star of Ceylon truly a gift from the gods, or a reminder of what happens when humanity tries to own divinity? If this story moved you, leave your thought below. Would you guard a sacred gem, or dare to wear it? Rank 5. The Desert Emerald of Egypt, Cleopatra's vanished jewel. In the heart of Egypt's eastern desert, between windswept dunes and forgotten ruins, there once shimmered a green fire so bright that even the pharaohs feared it. They called it the Desert Emerald, the lost jewel of Cleopatra VII, the last queen of Egypt, whose beauty and cunning shaped empires and doomed legions. The story begins near Wadi Sikait, deep within the emerald mines of the eastern desert. Long before Rome conquered the Nile, these mines were known as Mons Smaragdus, the Mountain of Emeralds. Ancient miners, working under the burning sun, chipped through quartz veins with copper picks, searching for the green veins of beryl, the mineral that births true emeralds. It was here, legend says, Cleopatra's gem was found, a flawless crystal, clear as desert air and glowing like captured spring. Unlike modern emeralds, which fracture under light, this one refracted gold within its green, an impossible hue described in Roman scrolls as the color of dawn over the Nile. Cleopatra wore it set into a golden serpent cuff on her left arm, a symbol of rebirth and divine rule. When sunlight hit it, the gem scattered reflections across her throne room like ripples of the river she ruled. After her death in 30 BC, when Rome seized Alexandria, the emerald vanished. Some say it was buried with her. sealed in a tomb that remains undiscovered. Others claim it was stolen by Octavian soldiers, broken apart, and sold to fund Rome's wars. Archaeologists have searched the ruins of Taposiris Magna, Cleopatra's rumored resting place, hoping for a trace of it, a shard, a carving, a color that doesn't belong to stone. Nothing. Only fragments of green glass, perhaps once mistaken for something holy. But one mystery endures. Several 19th century explorers in the area reported finding pieces of emerald with golden veins, unlike any known gem. Scientists dismiss them as impurities. Yet, to those who've studied Cleopatra's myth, it feels less like coincidence and more like a whisper. If the desert emerald ever surfaced today, it would command over $70 million, not merely for rarity, but for the empire it represents. Beauty, intellect, and destruction intertwined. So let me ask you, if a jewel once touched by a queen who defied Rome still sleeps beneath the sand, would you dig it up or let history keep it secret? If this story left you imagining the desert wind against ancient gold, share your thoughts. Should Cleopatra's jewel remain lost or return to the light? Rank 4. The Tears of Teotihuacan, the obsidian relic. That reflected no eyes. In the shadow of Mexico's Pyramid of the Sun, archaeologists uncovered something that defied both science and superstition. A stone so dark it was said to absorb the soul of whoever looked into it. They called it the Tears of Teotihuacan. The artifact was first documented in 1933 during an excavation beneath the Avenue of the Dead, the grand central axis of Teotihuacan, the lost city that once rivaled Rome in size and mystery. Beneath layers of volcanic ash and collapsed tunnels, researchers found an altar carved from solid obsidian, volcanic glass born from fire and pressure. At its center rested a black crystal sphere, perfectly polished, cold to the touch, yet faintly humming, as if alive. Locals refused to touch it. They said it belonged to the gods, forged when the sun itself wept tears of molten shadow after a great sacrifice. Its surface was unlike ordinary obsidian. When held to the light, it revealed not reflection, but distortion. Faces disappeared. Eyes became hollow voids. The archaeologists noted something chilling. Photographs taken of the relic failed to capture the eyes of anyone standing near it. The artifact was briefly displayed in Mexico City's National Museum, but just days before its public unveiling, it vanished. Guards reported hearing whispers from the glass. One claimed he saw his own face blink after he turned away. The museum never reopened that chamber again. Scientific records from that expedition still exist. Chemical analysis identified high silica content fused with trace iridium, an element more common in meteorites than Earth's crust, meaning this obsidian might not have been born of volcanoes, but from something cosmic. If true, it could be the only known example of extraterrestrial obsidian, valued today at over $80 million, if anyone dared to sell it. Modern shamans in Teotihuacan still believe fragments of the relic were scattered to prevent its power from returning. They call it the stone that remembers blood. And every year, on the solstice, when sunlight passes through the pyramid of the sun's highest window, a black glint flashes across the ruins, just once, for less than a second, as if the tears still wait beneath the earth. So tell me, if you stood before a mirror that could see your soul, would you dare to look? If this story sent a chill down your spine, leave your thought below. Do you believe some stones were never meant to be unearthed?
Rank number 3, the lunar pearl, the gem that fell from the sky. They found it in the belly of a drowned ship, a single pearl that shimmered not with light, but with silence. It became known as the lunar pearl, the gem that fell from the sky. In the late 1600s, a French trading vessel named La Fortune du Roi sank off the coast of Madagascar during a violent monsoon storm. 2 centuries later, divers searching its wreckage discovered an unmarked lead box. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth and seaweed, was a pearl the size of a walnut. But unlike any seen before, it didn't glow with warmth like an oriental pearl. Instead, it gave off a faint silver radiance, cool and metallic, even under the ocean floor's darkness. The divers reported strange effects: compasses spinning, watches freezing, and a sense of pressure in their chests when holding it. When the pearl was brought to the surface, local sailors called it the moon's tear, believing it had fallen from heaven, swallowed by the sea. Under laboratory analysis, it revealed a mineral structure never found in organic pearls. Its layers contained lunar isotopes, traces of elements identical to those in moon rock samples collected centuries later by Apollo astronauts. How could a pearl share the same fingerprint as the moon, 300 years before anyone had been there? Some geologists claim it wasn't a pearl at all, but a mineral accretion formed when a meteor fragment impacted near the seabed. Others insist it was indeed biological, a living oyster that somehow absorbed something cosmic. Either way, its surface was breathtaking: opalescent silver under light and faintly blue under darkness, as if it reflected tides of both ocean and space. The lunar pearl briefly appeared in a Paris exhibition in 1937, owned by a private collector who wore it mounted in platinum. Days after its showing, it disappeared. Never insured, never traced. The collector's yacht later sank under mysterious circumstances off Corsica. Modern gemologists estimate that if rediscovered, the lunar pearl would be worth over $90 million, not for luxury, but for what it might prove: that Earth and sky share the same memory. Some believe the gem still lies on the ocean floor, glowing faintly during full moons, guiding lost ships home. Others whisper it's better left unfound, a piece of the cosmos the sea refused to release. So I'll ask you, if you found a jewel that might not belong to this world, would you keep it or cast it back to the deep? If this story made you look at the night sky differently, share your thoughts. Do you believe some treasures were never meant for human hands?
Rank number 2. The Moldavite monolith, the stone that moved in the dark. They said it was not carved by human hands, a green glass relic that pulsed faintly when the lights went out. They called it the Moldavite monolith, and to this day, no one can explain how it came to exist. In 1908, a farmer near České Budějovice, in what is now the Czech Republic, unearthed something unlike any earthly stone. Standing nearly 30 centimeters tall and shaped like a tapered column, the artifact glimmered a deep forest green, translucent yet filled with inner threads, like frozen lightning. Scientists identified the material as Moldavite, a natural glass formed 15 million years ago when a meteor struck Central Europe. But this was no random shard. It was symmetrical, polished, and perfectly balanced, as if designed. For decades, it remained locked in the archives of the Austro-Hungarian Natural History Museum, forgotten, until 1943, when Nazi researchers under the Ahnenerbe Division rediscovered it during their Cosmic Origins program. The object reportedly emitted low-frequency magnetic pulses strong enough to disrupt compasses and radios. One document described it as moving slightly under prolonged darkness, as if drawn toward unseen light. Witness accounts say it glowed faintly emerald when exposed to chanting or harmonic resonance, a phenomenon no experiment could replicate. In 1945, as Allied forces advanced, the artifact vanished. The last photograph shows it inside a wooden crate labeled Project Lichtstein, Project Lightstone. The crate was never found. Some believe it was taken by Soviet scientists and later destroyed. Others whisper it lies hidden in an underground vault beneath Brno, guarded by those who fear what it might awaken. What makes this story even stranger is the geological analysis done years later. Natural Moldavite never forms in monolithic blocks. The impact that created it scattered molten fragments no larger than pebbles. Which means the monolith shouldn't exist at all. If real, its value would exceed $100 million, not for its size or rarity, but for what it could prove. That somewhere in deep time, something intelligent shaped the debris of a falling star. So tell me, if a gem could blur the line between heaven and earth, between human and cosmic, would you study it or seal it away forever? If this story made you question what we truly know about our planet, share your thought. Do you believe the Moldavite monolith was a relic of science or something not of this world?
Rank number 1, the Stone of Heaven, the lost jade of the Han Emperor. In the tomb of a forgotten emperor, archaeologists found fragments of a stone once believed to hold the breath of the gods. It was called the Stone of Heaven, the sacred jade of the Western Han dynasty, said to grant its ruler dominion over both life and death. The legend begins more than 2,000 years ago in the ancient capital of Chang'an, today's Xi'an. When Emperor Wu of Han rose to power, he sought immortality, commissioning alchemists, astronomers, and artisans to carve a single slab of white jade so pure it would mirror the sky. This was no ordinary stone. Ancient texts describe it as glowing faintly in darkness, warm to the touch, and producing a sound like distant wind when struck. The emperor believed it to be a bridge between heaven and earth, a vessel through which his spirit could ascend after death. It took decades to mine the jade from Hotan, a remote kingdom at the edge of the Teotihuacan desert. Caravans carried the boulder across 2,000 miles of shifting sands, guarded by soldiers and priests. The journey was so perilous that many perished along the Silk Road, their bones buried beneath dunes the same color as the stone they sought to protect. When the jade finally reached Chang'an, it was carved into an altar tablet inscribed with the seal of heaven. During the emperor's final years, it was said that he meditated before it nightly, whispering to the stone as though speaking to an ancient friend. Upon his death, the jade was placed upon his chest, and the tomb sealed. When the burial chamber was rediscovered in 1980, the archaeologists found the body encased in a jade suit, but the altar stone was missing. Only a broken half remained, polished on one side, its other side scorched as if by fire. Traces of unknown minerals coated its edges, neither jadeite nor nephrite, something unclassified. The other half of the Stone of Heaven was never found. Experts estimate its worth beyond $200 million, but its true value lies in what it symbolized: the ancient belief that perfection could conquer mortality. And perhaps that's why it vanished. Not stolen, but hidden. Because some relics were never meant to be owned, only remembered. So I'll ask you, if you could hold a stone that promised eternity, would you keep it or let it go? If this story resonated with you, tell me below. Do you believe humanity ever truly stopped chasing immortality?
Thank you for joining me on this journey through time, mystery, and the beauty of the stones the world forgot. If you'd like to see more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It's the simplest way to help me keep creating and uncovering the next hidden treasure. Your support gives life to this channel, and together, we'll continue exploring the untold history of the gems that shaped our world. The next episode will take us even deeper into the forbidden gemstones humanity tried to erase, where myth and science meet in a way few have ever dared to tell. Thank you again for watching World of Gem. I'll see you in the next journey, where the search for truth continues, one stone at a time.